Okay, so just out of full disclosure, this video is long overdue. Hey fans and subscribers, this is your host Joe on the Gaming for Insight channel with you to bring a video on modding my refurbished Steam Deck OLED with the compatible Hall Effect joystick mod from Handheld DIY. Out of full disclosure, Handheld DIY sent me these joysticks. No money was exchanged and no terms were set. Thank you, Handheld DIY, for sending me this joystick mod. It's awesome. This video provides an overview of a guide I built on my website for the steps you need to take to upgrade your joysticks on your Steam Deck OLED, and it is more approachable than ever to do so. You definitely want to do this. I encourage you to check out my online guide if you are looking for more details. Check the video description and my online guide for resources and links you need to get started, including the link to access for purchasing these modded joysticks from Handheld DIY. Okay. So with the introduction out of the way, let's talk about modding your Steam Deck OLED with this ultimate mod, making the ultimate Steam Deck. The Handheld DIY Hall Effect joystick mod for the Steam Deck OLED, based on my tests, provided improved FPS control in playing games like Doom Eternal Ancient Gods Part 2, one of my personal favorites, and zero drift in-game when setting the dead zone to 0 on both joysticks and Steam Deck's controller settings. The Steam Deck OLED does not come with Hall Effect joysticks by default and comes instead with analog sticks. You really can tell a difference with the Handheld DIY modded joysticks, and based on my experience with these mod joysticks, they are definitely worth using in your Steam Deck OLED. I recommend this Handheld DIY mod for a better experience in playing games on a Steam Deck OLED. Okay, so you need some items before you get started with this mod. You need a Steam Deck OLED. Also, you need this Handheld DIY mod. Definitely need this Handheld DIY mod. Can't say that enough. Handheld DIY makes it easy and gives you what you need to complete the install of the mod. Check out my online guide for more details on this. Now that you have what you need, let's get to the Steam Deck OLED in part 1 of my guide. Rotate the device and approach removing the backplate. To do that, there are 8 screws you need to unfasten for removing the backplate. Use the PHO screwdriver that came with the Handheld DIY mod package to unfasten the 8 screws. Next, detach the backplate by using the guitar pick that came with Handheld DIY's mod package. Check my online guide for more details on this part. The second part of the guide is to remove the default joysticks and install the Handheld DIY modded joysticks. Note that your left and right joysticks will be in opposite directions when installing them, since you are facing the back of the Steam Deck OLED when you do so. And if you don't rotate them as you need to, that's going to be a really interesting experience for you. Okay, disconnect the data cable from the circuit board of the left joystick by unfastening the lever from the closed position, facing towards the top to open, pointing straight up or in the middle position. Next, unfasten the 3 screws so to remove the joystick from the circuit board. I unfasten these screws one at a time. Gently pull the default joystick attached to the circuit board away from the Steam Deck OLED to remove it. You may need to change the joystick's position on the circuit board before removing it, because the joystick cover could cause it to be stuck. Take the mod joystick with L on the back of its circuit board, indicating it is the left joystick, and position it where we just removed the default joystick. The left joystick required me to angle the top of the left joystick away from me to have it fit into the area. Next, take the 3 screws that you originally unfastened to remove the default joystick attached to the circuit board and position them to fasten the left joystick mod. Lastly, reattach the data cable to the bottom of the mod circuit board, because if you don't, it's just not going to work. The steps for removing the right joystick back facing direction left is familiar and similar to the process for the left joystick, back facing direction right in this case. The process for installing the right joystick mod is familiar and similar as well to the process for the left joystick, back direction facing right as well. So what I mean here is it's going to be familiar doing what you did with one joystick with another joystick, if that makes sense. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. However, I did not have to angle the top of the right joystick as I did the left joystick when installing. That's the major difference there. Next is part 3. Rotate the Steam Deck OLED with the backplate still unfastened and detach, and prepare for joystick calibration. Prepare for joystick calibration. Press the power button to either power on the device or initiate the quick resume function if it was left on already during the previous parts of the guide, because you may have done that. Press the Steam button located above the left front-facing speaker or below the left trackpad. You know where it is. Navigate, meaning use your finger to touch the display or use the direction pad to highlight the controller settings area. Navigate to select Open for the calibration and advanced settings. You will then see another menu showing a visual for the left joystick and other options. Remain in this area for part 4. And if you have any questions, go into the comments, let me know. I'll be happy to walk you through, help you out. But hopefully I made that clear. For this 4th part, I am going to combine instructions for the sake of brevity for how to approach doing the edge calibration for the left and right joysticks individually. So follow the same process for both joysticks individually. And I struggle with brevity, so this is going to work out for the both of us here. Optionally, keep the device screen on and rotate the device. Locate the joystick you are calibrating. You can use the PHO screwdriver provided. So press the key 1 button on the top of the joystick you are calibrating, but don't poke a hole through the Steam Deck when you do this. Be careful, be delicate and gentle there. There are 2 buttons on each joystick, so to ensure you are pressing the correct key 1 button. Check the label under each button as well. It's pretty noticeable to find the button. I wear glasses, but I did not need a magnifying glass to see it. A light will start flashing from that joystick. If it does not start flashing, press it again, as the initial press was not registered likely. But don't poke a hole through the Steam Deck. Just press a little more. Press a little more than you did. Rotate the Steam Deck OLED to face its front side. Initiate a quick resume with the power button if needed. Use the direction pad if needed to select the menu options for the joystick you are calibrating in the Steam Calibration and Advanced Settings menu, which is where we have been in this part of the guide and the previous part. Press the Y button, rotate the joystick you are calibrating 3 times thoroughly clockwise. Say that 10 times, thoroughly clockwise. Press the Y button to stop testing. Optionally, keep the device screen on and rotate the device. You can use the PHO screwdriver provided and press the key 1 button on the top of the joystick you are calibrating. A light will stop flashing from that joystick. Again, if a light does not stop flashing, then press it again, as the initial press was not registered likely. But again, we're not putting holes through the Steam Deck when we're doing this. That's very important. I want to get that point made. Rotate the Steam Deck OLED to face its front side. Calibration for the joysticks has not yet been completed. We've got one more part to do here. Proceed to part 5 for continuing the calibration. The final part of calibrating both joysticks is calibrating the center point on each one. I share details in this part of the guide for the method I use to calibrate the center points individually for left and right joysticks, as it can be seen as not very approachable unless you use my method. But it is approachable. There's just a bit of a technique to it really here. For each joystick individually, navigate to where to initiate testing for each one. This is the same area in the Steam menu, i.e. the Calibration and Advanced Settings area, where pressing the Y button initiates testing for a designated joystick. You may see the center point of the joystick move to the farthest part of the circular diagram. So it may be all the way over here, all the way up there, anywhere but the center area. That is okay, as this part of the guide calibrates the center point. Note that you will need to follow through with this process for the left and right joystick, as calibrating the center point for one joystick does not calibrate the center point for the other joystick. Now that would be pretty cool if we could do that, but no, we have to do each one individually. Once you initiate testing for a joystick, i.e. by pressing the Y button, stand the Steam Deck OLED with the side having the joystick you are not calibrating at the bottom, touching the surface, while the side having the joystick you are calibrating is closest to you. Take your left hand, if you are right-handed, to hold the front of the Steam Deck OLED while your left pointer finger touches the top of the joystick you are calibrating. Tilt the Steam Deck while standing it upright slightly so you can see the screen surface. You need to observe the screen to see where your center dot is on that joystick. Use your left pointer finger to position the center dot in the dead center of the diagram you view on the Steam menu. Once you have the center dot in the dead center, Then with your right hand holding the back of the Steam Deck OLED, press the key 2 button for that joystick you are calibrating using the same PHO screwdriver provided by Handheld DIY in the package. When you press key 2 on each joystick, you will see a light flash once from the same respective area that light flash from pressing the other key button on each joystick. The difference is that the light will not continue flashing when pressing key 2 on each joystick like with key 1. You may need to press key 2, that button, more than once to have the dots centered for each joystick individually in this process. Once you complete the process for each joystick, press the Y button again to end the testing. If the center dot is more centered after pressing the Y button to complete testing than when you enter testing, then the dot is not fully centered, and it is recommended to go through this process again for that joystick. And I mean, try to get as close to the center dot as you can in this process. Don't pull your hair out and make yourself completely frustrated. Do the best you can here. You can exit this menu and return to the main area of the Steam overlay. Now for the final part of the guide, part 6, you are ready to reattach and refasten the backplate to finish this guide and mod installation. Fasten the 8 screws that you originally unfastened in part 1. I recommend not fully fastening each one upon original placement, so start halfway fastening. Once you have all of the screws halfway fastened, then follow through with fully fastening them to complete the overall fastening of the backplate. Rotate the Steam Deck OLED to face the front. Now it's time that we get gaming. So thank you, Handheld DIY, for making this video possible. I really appreciate you sending me the products that you have to make these guides on the channel. I've really enjoyed the process, and hopefully the viewers do as well, and fans and subscribers do as well, importantly. I look forward to reading your thoughts, fans and subscribers, and if you are interested in me making further videos on mods from Handheld DIY or any additional products from Handheld DIY. All right, well, with that, I should go.